Good morning, rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. We did it. Rumble, thank you so much for helping us out. I got to do a special shout out today to our friends over at Rumble. Dylan Abad, if you're listening this morning, I think you guys are in Sarasota, Florida. Thank you very much. They saved my butt at the last minute. I was trying to get the stream up. I've switched over to their new product, Rumble Studio, which is basically a broadcasting tool that allows me to stream to rumble.com, to locals, and to many other fine sites as well. But the transition was a challenge, but it worked. We're up. I'm now fully integrated into the Rumble Studio. We can thank Dylan Abad, Siraj Hashmi, and all of our friends at rumble.com today for helping us out. Woohoo! Yeah. Oh my gosh, guys, there's just been so much exciting news going on. And obviously, we're going to talk about the big news. Donald Trump might go to jail? What? Really? Doesn't matter, though. Dems are freaking out because they see that the poll numbers haven't moved at all since they started spending all that money they raised. Oh, we've raised so much more money than the Republicans. They're spending it, and it ain't moving the polls. We're going to talk about that this morning in just a few. At 7:30 a.m. this morning, we're going to have on our friend Tony Martinez. Tony Martinez is the epitome of ay, 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 por Dios. Yo voy a votar por Donald Trump. La buena vida por Trump. La economía por Trump. Hazlo por tu familia. Latinos por Donald Trump. Yes, Tony Martinez will be joining us live at 7:30 to talk about why a vote for Donald Trump is a vote for Javier Milei. If you libertarians weren't already convinced that Donald Trump was the best candidate to help us to advance libertarian values in this fall's election, if you're a huge Javier Milei fan, then Tony Martinez, I think, will help you in your convictions. And of course, this morning, I see people in the chat like Look, It's Liz and Luke Sacker, who's already been all over this stuff. Has been shopping at apforlibertyshop.com, and he already bought himself a Libertarians for Trump shirt, and new in the shop as of last night, a Libertarians for Trump flag. And he bought the big one. His neighbors are going to be like, no, God! No, God, please, no! Hopefully not. Hopefully he lives in an area where they like Trump supporters. And ay, por Dios, yo voy a votar por Donald Trump. Quest Fanning says the DNC can only slap so much lipstick on a pig. Exactly, Quest. And thank you for the Rumble Rant donation. Many of you are probably wondering, where's the bonus content? There's too much big news, and I have too many guests that I have to accommodate this week, and there's too much work that I have to catch up for the 3-day weekend, and then there was the LP convention, so I've just no sleep for AP, no rest for AP. I'm writing columns like crazy. I'm getting invited on huge shows. I was on Laura Loomer's show here on Rumble last night. She's got a huge audience. I've known Laura Loomer since way back in 2008. We go way back. So I just haven't had time to produce bonus content this week. I'll be honest with you, okay? Hey. It's not that I'm lazy. It's just that I don't have time. But thankfully, I did have a meeting yesterday with someone. It looks like we might actually be getting a little bit more help here over at AP Land. One day I'll be like Walt Disney. I'll create a whole theme park, Liberty Land. That'd be kind of fun, actually. I think that'd be cool. And so we're going to, look, it's Liz. She wants one. She wants a Libertarians for Trump flag. You can haves. You can haves. But
can first, you bless me with something?
First.
Oh, gosh. Money-wise.
Can you bless me with something? Money-wise, head on over to apforlibertyshop.com if you want to get your Libertarians for Trump merch. We've also got mugs. It's the Gadsden snake that has like the Donald Trump hair on the snake, which is kind of funny. I made it myself. So check those out over at AP for Liberty Shop at 8 a.m. Central today. It's big brain time. Judge Andrew Napolitano. Grazie, molto bene. We're going to hear from the judge this morning about what happens if Donald Trump goes to prison. I'll tell you what, it's not our grandparents' America.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him, excuse me.
Quest says the clip was way louder than your voice, AP. Which clip was way louder than my voice, Quest? Would you just let me know? I'd be grateful because, you know, it's not like we have a sound engineer over here. So I'm just like, I'm just hoping to God that everything is going to, is going to work. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's really, really, really hard. Somebody saw yesterday that Vivek Ramaswamy retweeted to me when I said that I'm a Vivek Ramaswamy Republican. Yes. And it's true. I am a Vivek Ramaswamy Republican. And then he retweeted and said, he retweeted me and he said, we need a Libertarian Nationalist Alliance. And how the Democrats were like,
do not come.
And I'm like,
do not come.
I'm going to come.
Yes. Oh, yes. We need a Libertarian Nationalist Alliance, says Vivek Ramaswamy in retweeting me. I agree. So it's time for us to put on our big boy pants and our big girl panties. And it's time for us to get out there and make America great again for liberty, for freedom. Ay, por Dios, Jose MMA for Donald Trump, la buena vida, la economía, hazlo por tu familia, Latinos for Donald Trump. I say for, but it's poor, isn't it? Okay. Yes, at 8:30 a.m. Central Time today, after we hear from Judge Napolitano, get the peas, get some mozzarella, and the provolone, and the ricotta, and the gabagool. Or if you're from New Jersey, it's the gabagool. Give me the gabagool. We'll hear from Judge Napolitano at 8 a.m. That's anti-Italian discrimination. At 8:30 a.m. Central Time, we're going to hear from John Miltimore. You guys love Miltimore. Sorry I didn't have him on yesterday. It's just so much going on, so much big news. And the big title story today is that the Democrats are freaking out. And that is a quote, not I'm freaking out is not my editorial. It is an actual quote. The Democrats are in full-blown freak-out mode, so much so that local news actually picked up how Democrats are freaking out. And you know, when they're using Politico magazine as their source and the Politico is reporting on it, it's bad for Democrats. Let's take a listen to this local news report about the full-blown freakout that they're experiencing. This is local news in California.
As a pervasive sense of fear and palpable trepidation said to be spreading among Democratic leaders about President Biden's 2024 re-election prospects 5 months out from Election Day. Today's Politico California Bureau Chief Christopher Catalogo wrote about the state of the presidential race in a piece titled Dems in Full-Blown Freakout Over Biden. Chris Catalogo joins us now with more. Good to see you, Chris. What is that freakout all about? What is the main conclusion you came to?
So there's a few things here that people mention. The big one being the polling, which hasn't improved since the fall, looking at battleground state polling, polling averages across the country. And that's coincided with tens of millions of dollars.
Freak out. Say chic, lay freak. Freak out. Now, this person that you're listening to right here, this is Christopher Catalogo. He is the California Bureau Chief for Politico. So these are California Democrats reporting on this. They are freaking out. Look, it's Liz is asking this morning what I'm on so that she can have some. What am I on? I'm on, maybe about 3.5 hours of sleep, honestly. On days like this when I'm friggin' exhausted and I've got my one eye open and the other eye closed, I drink a double shot of Founding Flavors coffee, and I have to overcompensate by being extremely energetic or else I won't survive. Here we go.
That the Democrats have started spending on TV ads. And so we heard for quite a while, just wait until we start getting these TV ads up. Well, they've started and the numbers just haven't moved. They haven't moved as a result of this Trump trial. as a result of the money pouring in. And we also saw in the month of April, numbers that recently came out in the last few days, that Donald Trump, for the first time in a long time, outraised Joe Biden. And so the other thing we heard from Democrats is things might not look great right now, but we're raising a lot more money than Trump. He's spending a lot of that money on his legal cases. And so now we're looking at more parity there between the two of them without much movement for Biden. And all of that is contributing to the freak out, which is a word we had in quotes there because it was a word that somebody used themselves, one of the sources in the story.
Yeah, and I would say that jives with my reporting, too, talking to a lot of Democratic folks, that there is a sense of real worry behind the scenes, stuff that they're not willing to say publicly but feeling privately. And this Trump trial, especially if it's a mistrial or a not guilty, could end up really being a political win for Donald Trump. But the biggest sort of shakeup of this race, the most offensive Joe Biden has been, is challenging him to a debate a month from now. Talk about the stakes for that, because some people say debates don't matter. Do you agree with that?
So it's ironic because we saw early on in this debate back and forth between both campaigns, the Trump campaign was really the one arguing that the debate should be done a lot earlier because of all the early voting that's taking place. And you saw Biden come out and join Trump in that and say, we need to jumpstart this campaign somehow. We need to do this earlier. And as we saw last time around in the State of the Union a couple months ago, as we've seen time and again when President Biden is on the big stage, he has performed fairly well. He's exceeded these low expectations that Republicans have set for him. But those expectations coming into the debate will be high, given the terms that they've set for these debates, given what people are looking for. And so he has to do well in this debate. In particular because of all these questions surrounding the campaign and to keep these things going, to keep momentum coming with the money, to keep everybody on board headed into the conventions. It's a pivotal moment for him, and debates certainly do matter.
You know, we hear a lot of folks on the right, especially.
These are California Democrats freaking out, their words, freaking out over Joe Biden. They're in panic mode. I wonder why.
Look at her. She looks like she's 19 years old, sitting there with her, like a little lady in a race car.
Let's continue.
Actually seem to be repeating this phrase that they will replace Joe Biden, and Gavin Newsom, somebody you cover so often, will replace him as the Democratic nominee. I'm still not quite sure who they is, but what are the chances that they, meaning some sort of Democratic operative or DNC, replaces Joe Biden if the debates don't go well and there is a different nominee?
Yeah, I mean, we saw what the power of the White House, the power of incumbency in terms of setting the agenda, setting the calendar for these primaries that took place. All of that, setting the staff at the DNC, all of that emanates from the White House. That's the sort of party structure that we're in right now. There is not a smoke-filled room that the viewers are unaware of, where a bunch of poobahs in the party are planning who might be able to take over. That sort of thing just does not exist in this day and age in our politics. And so you ask a good question, which is, where would this even come from? I think most people agree that ship has sailed. I think that the folks who are next in line further down the bench tend to agree with that as well, and they will wait their turn. And this is Joe.
And it's too late to apologize. It's too late. And it's too late to replace Biden. It's too late. Hey, hey. And new Democrats are freaking out this morning. Okay. And there's no reason to try to replace Biden. It's too late. And it's too late to apologize. It's too late. Hey, hey. Hey, if you're just tuning in to the Wake Up America show, good morning. I'm your weird host, AP for Liberty, and we're glad and thankful to have you here on the Wake Up America show. It's Wednesday. Maybe that's why I'm a little wacky. It's too late for Joe Biden to be replaced for the Democrats. And the Democrats are, quote, freaking out, their words, not ours, about how Joe Biden's poll numbers haven't moved despite the massive amount of money that they have poured into that campaign. Now, we're going to continue to talk about this in just a few. And in 10 minutes from now, we're going to hear from Tony Martinez on the Javier Milei Donald Trump factor. But before we get there, I'm going to experiment with a new tool that Rumble has offered to me to be able to share with you some of the people that are helping make Rumble work. And I'm excited to be able to introduce you to one of their new projects. Get ready for an unforgettable experience. This June, Rumble and I and our friends over at the Protocol 7 movie would like to invite you for the premiere of the new movie Protocol 7. It's a true whistleblower story about Big Pharma and the latest film by Andy Wakefield. Don't miss the exclusive chance to see it first and join Andy and the filmmakers for a live Q&A after the screenings. Mark your calendars, write this down, May 31st and June 1st in New York City and June 14th and 15th in Los Angeles. Tickets are going pretty fast, so grab yours today and witness the film first. Visit www.protocol7, that's PROTOCOL, the number 7.movie. That's protocol7.movie. Visit them now, check out the trailer, and secure your spot. And thank you very much to rumble.com. They have a new sponsorship tool now to help the Wake Up America show to continue to grow. Thank you to Rumble. Thank you to Protocol 7 movie. What's up, Dad Bod Baboon? Look, it's Liz joining us live. Quantum Kitty is here. Look at that. The Rumble tool even dropped the link for the premiere there so you guys can check it out all on your own. I love it. Wish you could click links. Me too, Quantum Kitty, but I guess what you have to do is you have to like highlight it in a browser and then share it. But protocol7.movie isn't too hard. So I would say open it up in another browser real quick and type it in, check out the trailer, and then get yourself some tickets. And that is a big thank you to Rumble Studio for integrating this new campaign tool where they can just put the advertisements right there into the studio. I think it's an exciting new tool. It's going to help us to grow. I mean, geez, guys, it's a great way to help the Wake Up America show continue to produce more content. Nice to have you here. Hey, John and KC, how you doing, brother? Quantum Kitty, we miss you when you're not around, by the way. Come back more often. Who are we going to talk to? Tony Martinez. Yes, a pervasive sense of fear has settled in at the highest levels of the Democratic Party over Joe Biden's re-election prospects. God, I love this kind of news in the morning. Democrats all year have been on a joyless and exhausting grind throughout the 2024 election, writes Politico. Yes. But now, nearly 5 months from the election, anxiety has morphed into what Politico writes is palpable trepidation. The palpable. Only Democrats talk like that. Palpable trepidation. Yes. According to more than a dozen party leaders and operatives, more than a dozen. And the gap between what Democrats will say on TV or in print and what they'll text their friends has only grown as worries have surged about Biden's prospects. Yes. I'm so happy. It's so easy to beat Biden. It's so easy to beat Biden. It's so easy. 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 DS Now 85. He says, even though I'm joining on Rumble, I'm giving you my free Prime sub on Twitch. Yo, you the real MVP. Thank you, DS Now. I am about to be a father, and I won't lie, I'm a little nervous about the finances when baby comes here in about a month and a half. So the moment is approaching, and I'm very excited. Last night, I was holding my wife in her belly, and it was like baby Hazel was like playing the drums in there. It was like, boom, 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 boom. Daddy, 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 can't wait to see my daddy. Daddy, 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 can't wait to see my daddy. Daddy, 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 can't wait to see my daddy. Daddy, daddy, daddy. And there was like a metal concert going on inside Steffi's belly. It was like, daddy, 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 can't wait to see my daddy. Yeah. Going over to Rumble was your smartest move, says Look, it's Liz. It certainly was. But you know what the smartest move that I made was to build a positive, a healthy community of people who would follow me from Rumble to YouTube to whatever platform I was on. There's about 100 to 150 of you out there who I know are my hardcores who have been with me since the very beginning. When we first launched the Wake Up America show in September of 2022, I think it was September 2022. There was like 20, 30, maybe 50 people who would watch mornings in the live in the mornings. And like, we were just getting by a wing and a prayer. And I was surviving for the first 3 months of launching the show off of like Facebook money that had just like produced a windfall and stuff. So it was like, there, but for the grace of God go I. The Wake Up America show is brought to you by viewers and listeners like you, because even with all the live reads and the sponsorships, if nobody watched the Wake Up America show, if nobody clicked like on the live stream, if nobody clicked follow on the live stream, well, the Wake Up America show wouldn't be here. Would Javier Milei be president of Argentina if it were for Donald Trump? Is a vote for Donald Trump a vote for Javier Milei of Argentina? Let's ask our U.S. Latin American envoy, Tony Martinez, when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Love you guys.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to Wake Up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit PetersonVoiceStudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's patriotic perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com. Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. I'm Austin Peterson. We're glad and thankful to have you here. Appreciate you guys sticking through the commercial breaks for me. I'm still waiting on Tony Martinez. Haven't seen him yet. Sent him the link. Hopefully he is listening and will be joining us soon. Give it up for Tony Martinez. Come on, Tony. Come on down. Sure he'll be here in any minute. But you know, when things like this happen, that's why Austin has backup stories. If you're not planning on voting for the Libertarian Party candidate this year, I get it. I understand. It's because, as the Babylon Bee has reported, the Libertarian Party nominated a giant gay bong. Yes, the Libertarian Party, according to the Babylon Bee, nominated a giant gay bong, concluded its convention nominating its latest presidential candidate, a 20-foot-tall, rainbow-colored glass bong. The gay, oversized marijuana smoking device edged out candidates RFK Jr. and Trump and Sparkle Paws, the transgender furry, to secure the coveted nomination to run for president this year. Libertarian Party Chair Angela McArdle, while tripping on the complimentary edibles that were passed out of the convention, said, "Never has the Libertarian Party chosen a candidate that better represents its values, ambitions, and intellect. I think it's even possible our beautiful glass candidate could secure up to 0.03% of the vote this year." Yikes. Wes Fanning says, "If you don't vote for me, you ain't trans." Who's ready to vote for the giant gay bong, the Libertarian Party? Honestly, I think that if you were to poll a giant gay bong against all of the candidates in these races on the national level, I think the giant gay bong would probably actually do quite well.
How dare you?
Would probably outpoll Joe Biden. What do you guys think? Yes, it's a little bit of a joke here. Looks like Tony Martinez is connecting right now. I see his handsome face and a photograph of him over in the other, the Ready to Go feed, but I don't see his moving video face yet, and I don't hear him yet, so it looks like he's still connecting. We'll have to wait a couple of minutes until we can hear from Tony Martinez, unfortunately. Don't be upset. We'll hear from Tony in just a couple of minutes once he gets his connection all set up wherever he's at. Tony, we'd love to hear from you, brother. You can text the show at any time. The Wake Up America show streams live Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central. However, a lot of people listen to the audio version on the podcast later on. So we cut the audio, we upload it to iTunes and Spotify and any of your favorite podcast networks. If you didn't know, sometimes you can't catch the show live. I get it. Just listen to the audio version later. I cut it out, I cut it up, and it's easy for you guys to be able to grab it later. So if you do that, then you're listening to the show and you're like, I want to talk to Austin, though I want to respond to what he was saying here. You can text the show anytime at 573-319-1586. Again, you can text the show and let us know what's on your mind, guest suggestions, topics. Tell me that I'm a doo-doo head. Trust me, I get plenty of hate mails, so one more is not going to hurt my feelings. 573-319-1586. 1586. All right. Well, is a vote for Donald Trump a vote for Javier Milei? A lot of people were criticizing me when I said that. Is there something about me? Do I come off as a used car salesman and people just don't believe me? I guess it's a good thing that I have so many credible guests that I bring on my show, because now I can hear my opinions, but coming out of their mouths. Joining us now live is our good friend of the show, Tony Martinez, U.S. Latin American envoy. Good morning, Tony.
Hey, good morning, Austin, and good morning to everyone watching.
Thanks for coming. Tony, it's a little tongue-in-cheek for me to say, a vote for Donald Trump is a vote for Javier Milei. Yeah, there are differences between these candidates, but there's a deeper meaning to what I'm saying, and I think you probably get it, don't you?
Well, I attended the Libertarian Convention, and I was surprised.
Did you take any edibles? Did you take any edibles?
No. But the problem that I would just say is that the Libertarian Party is stuck in what I would call political adolescence. Still, they don't understand or appreciate what that 3% actually means from a political science standpoint. Now, I think Angela McArdle does understand that, but she doesn't have a lot of help. Unfortunately. This is from a political science perspective, a tremendous opportunity was given to the party by Donald Trump, no question. And are they mature enough or smart enough to seize on that? Because if I knew that I had a 3% advantage to bring to the table, and that is a margin of victory in some of these very close races in a swing state, I have some chips that I could negotiate with and get things. And I think Trump was aware of that because the election is going to be decided in a number of swing states, and that 3% is necessary. Now, is the Libertarian Party smart enough? I don't know. Chase Oliver, I met him. And, I think he has the challenge to whether to stick with his ego as being a presidential candidate or actually realizing, understanding the opportunity that was given and the leveraging and the positioning that could happen behind the scenes. I don't know. The Libertarian Party will never win a national race alone, and because they're not using the Javier Milei formula. And so my comments to lots of libertarians there, I said, go to Argentina, go to Buenos Aires, go meet with Javier Milei, study how he got a national, he rose to national office. There's not a model like that here in the United States. And the alliance that Trump offered is actually it's a natural one, because where does the Libertarian Party fit? It fits with the Republican Party, and I don't know why there isn't a stronger Liberty Caucus or what a Libertarian Caucus within the Republican Party. And that's another opportunity that this offer extends to. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how all of this fleshes out. So, and I have more to share, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Tony. I want to hear it straight from you. So if you're reading off of notes this morning, I see you looking down. I just want you to look me in the eyes and just speak from the heart here.
Okay.
Is there any point in voting for the Libertarian Party candidate this year when there is so much at stake between Trump and Biden, and how this would impact Argentina and Milei and the International Coalition of Libertarians? Is it wise to vote for the Libertarian Party, noting that, as you said, they are still in their political adolescence?
Austin, my friend, look at me. The answer is no. The Libertarian Party, but see, this is why I was inspired by Angela McArdle, because I think she's smart enough, but she's alone. I don't know how many people really understand what's going on here. And the Libertarian Party should take advantage of it. This is a watershed election. This is also a crazy election. I mean, I predicted a while ago, I said Biden will leave. It will not be the candidate. I still stand by that. I think the come to Jesus moment politically is coming probably by August. It's really unfortunate. And in fact, if the Democratic Party had allowed a real primary and allowed RFK Jr. to compete and participate, wouldn't have that factor there. The dynamics would have been totally different. But unfortunately, the ego is a real problem in politics. So,
Tony, let's talk about the Javier Milei factor in all this, because I think, there are people who don't quite understand what it means to have a Donald Trump in charge of foreign policy versus a Joe Biden in charge of foreign policy. And everything that I have read and studied and interviewed, and the conversations that I've had with people from Argentina. I mean, I've spoken to the congressman from Buenos Aires, the senator from the Buenos Aires region, a woman by the name of Florencia, actually retweeted the show the other day to help us get the message out. They are all very pro-Trump. They are all communicating to me. Now, Javier Milei hasn't communicated this with me directly, but I'm getting the impression that Javier Milei knows. Yeah. Well, there's a tiny chance I might actually get to meet him here in a month, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. Mm-hmm. But I get the impression that the people around Javier Milei, and potentially Javier Milei himself, know that it is better for them and their Libertad Avanza party and the coalition of libertarians in Argentina if Donald Trump is in charge of the White House here in the United States.
Absolutely.
You get that impression too.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm being practical, pragmatic, regardless of whatever I think about. I mean, it's clearly the Republican Party and Trump is better for Argentina than the current occupants of the White House.
Well, talk to us a little bit why, but talk to us about like the dynamics.
Well, I mean,
of the foreign policy.
there's just ideological, camaraderie. There's an agreement. They both believe in freedom of the market, freedom of the private sector, the power of the private sector to solve problems, not the government. These are these are the natural alignments, not increasing the size of the state, but decreasing the size of the state. And in fact, the United States has a problem with, we are similar to Argentina because we keep printing so much money. We haven't stopped this inflationary behavior that's destroying the country economically and destroying the dollar. And it's already starting to wreak havoc. And also the endless wars. These are the things that really have destroyed and really hurt the country. And so Donald Trump and the Republican Party are offering, say, we want to depart from that path, and we want to reverse the damage that is being done.
I mean, in regards to foreign policy, if you look at the candidates, I mean, Donald Trump's foreign policy is probably one of his most libertarian of his views, is it not?
Yes, I mean, I think there was, and I'm just being honest, there was a neglect in Latin America when he was president, because again, if we want to stop this migration and all the stuff going on to the border, it's not that you just can put up a wall and just say, you've got to address what the root causes that are driving that migration to the border. And we need to have policies and the diplomacy and the priority, and that has not happened yet. I'm looking,
right, but Tony, isn't it the case that a strong, vibrant economy in Argentina, in South America, could itself be a driver for the prevention of mass migration from South America?
Oh, absolutely. We need economic development in the region. If we have economic development in the region, you have jobs. And if you have jobs, poverty is going down. And then you don't need people going to, try to come here. And we have, just the crazy immigration system that we have. I mean, the whole system needs to be reformed. Sometime I look forward to talking with you because I see it. I'm on the front lines of it. And I get clients, and once in a while the system works. I was able to help a veteran who had been deported and had not been in the United States for 20 years, and there was a program, and albeit I'll credit the Biden administration, it was a program to help deported vets to be able to come back to the United States. And after much working, we were able to help this man. He's going to be able to come back and see his family for the first time in 20 years. He certainly paid a heavy price. We need to fix the immigration, but we can talk about that. But absolutely, Javier Milei is positioning. He's right now in Silicon Valley talking to tech, saying, hey, Argentina should be your hub in the global South. And we need to build up the Western Hemisphere, North and South America, because we're competing with China and Asia and Africa. And we need to be building up working on building up our hemisphere here. So we need to be doing those kinds of things that what Javier Milei is doing, and what hopefully what Trump's going to do with a different foreign policy in Latin America.
Well, why do you think that Javier Milei's Libertad Avanza coalition and the congressman from Buenos Aires, Agustin Romo, Romo, why do you think it is that they prefer Donald Trump?
Well, again, it's because of the philosophical alignment, the policies of the market.
But Tony, the Libertarian convention that you were just at, if I had gotten up on stage and said that a vote for Donald Trump is a vote for Javier Milei, they would have booed me off the stage the same way they booed Senator Mike Lee, and the same way that they booed Donald Trump. They would have treated me like I was, just as bad as an Antifa communist tearing down a building in 2020, or like I was, they looked at me like I had three heads, right? So some people don't get it, Tony. I need you to help me explain it to these people like they're 5 years old, okay? Explain it to me.
As I say, it's time to grow up, kids.
Yeah.
It's time to grow up. Do you want to be relevant? Or do you want to be a sideshow? And that is something that, you people have a hard time facing up. It's like, what am I qualified for? What do I deserve? And if you act like a child, you're going to be treated like a child politically. And, God bless that the party does have that 3% factor. That is critical in some election. Leverage it, for goodness sakes, but be grown-ups about it and understand what the opportunities are, what are the limitations, and you work from that and you grow. So again, like I said, I hope I liked Angela McArdle. I just felt my experience of it is that she's pretty much alone, and she's trying to herd cats. That's what it felt like. So there's I also thought this porcupine symbolism, that's terrible. We need to be the lions of liberty, like Javier Milei. Lions. I was talking to libertarians and said, well, why do you like Javier Milei? Because I talked to him about Milei all the time. I said, listen, this is a man who came up and he said he got into politics. I didn't come here to guide sheep. I came to wake up the lions, and I want everyone to yell out, freedom, long live freedom, damn it. The whole world is being overwhelmed by this globalism, by the power of the state, and the individual is being destroyed and subsumed by all of this craziness that we have. And it's terrible, and we need to change that.
We're speaking to Tony Martinez this morning, U.S. Latin American envoy. You can find him on Twitter or X.com.
Yeah.
We're talking a little bit about why a vote for Donald Trump is a vote for Javier Milei. And when I tweeted that, it got quite a bit of pushback. But I've been doing a lot of research into the economy of Argentina, speaking to the people down there, speaking to civic leaders, speaking to boots on the ground activists, members of Javier Milei's coalition. And of course, Tony, you know that I'm doing everything that I can to try and elevate the profile of Javier Milei, not just here, but around the world. And I think to a certain extent, I've been successful at it, using merchandise and using my Wake Up America show program, because there honestly aren't many people out there who so embody what I believe as much as Javier Milei of Argentina. And I'd like to see him be successful. And I think that especially because of what I have seen of the relationship between Donald Trump and Javier Milei, how they met one another at CPAC, the things that Javier Milei has said about Donald Trump, the things that Donald Trump has said about Javier Milei, congratulating him on his election, saying things about his successes and wishing him well and congratulating to me, leads me to believe that a relationship between these two men, with Donald Trump restored to power in the White House, would be the best thing that ever happened to libertarians, not just because of Javier Milei, but Tony, were you in the audience when Donald Trump spoke? Did you hear what the promises that he made to libertarians?
Oh, yeah, no, I tweeted out on that. And in fact, I got thousands of engagements on that because I listed the points. I said, what a deal. And I, having been in politics since I was a teenager, I was a U.S. Senate page for Senator Jacob Javits and then afterwards for the Senate Republican leadership when Howard Baker was the Senate Majority Leader. This is big stuff. Those offers. This is why I was like, oh my goodness. And he also Trump threw the gauntlet out, to the other candidates. What are they gonna offer? I mean, if I got 3% and I know my 3% brings the margin of victory, I'd be making my deals. I'd be talking behind the scenes, and I would be building those personal relationships. The thing I would say about Milei and Trump, they are similar politically. I think personally they're two very different men. And I don't know when or if those personal differences are going to clash in the future, but we don't know. But politically, certainly they're similar. And I mean, if you want libertarians, more libertarian politics in American politics, in this election, it's clear that it's Trump that has presented that opportunity to the party.
Tony, we're running out of time here. I got to get to the judge here in a little bit less than 10 minutes. I want to give you the opportunity to share anything that you think we might have missed or plug before we let you go.
Sure. I've just, you can find me on X, US LATAM Envoy. And for another time, we'll talk. I was an election observer at the Dominican Republic this past May 19th. And even though the system does have voter ID, I personally observed 12 election irregularities in the course of the election. And we can talk about election security as we draw closer to the election, because I was shocked and surprised. We can talk about that again in the future, that and immigration. And I just appreciate the opportunity to be again with you and the audience. So thanks again, Austin. And God bless you and Steffi and baby Hazel.
Thanks, Tony.
We'll look forward to that.
We appreciate you. And as always, thanks for being so generous with your time and joining us so early in the
morning.
Thank
you.
We look forward to your next appearance on the Wake Up America show.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. Let's give Tony a round of applause. What do you say? Are you guys excited to hear from Judge Napolitano? He'll be joining us here live in 5. And of course, that means big brain time. So put on your big boy pants. We're going to have a fantastic show with Judge Napolitano this morning here in about 5 minutes. So before we get to the judge, though, just want to remind you that our friends over at Preserve Gold have decided to sponsor us for another month. Yes, thanks to people like you. The Wake Up America show is brought to you in part from our friends at Preserve Gold. You can text the word liberty to 50505 to not only to secure your financial freedom, but to support the Wake Up America show. If you like interviews like the ones you just heard from Tony Martinez, and if you like this kind of highbrow discussion with a little bit of lowbrow goofiness and fun, little joking around, then you're in the right place. Make sure that you are liking and following the feed. But if you're interested in securing your financial future, then our friends at Preserve Gold have got you covered. Text them the word Liberty to the number 50505. Get out your mobile phone right now and text the word Liberty to 50505, and they will send you a free gold and silver information packet. Now, you're not only supporting the Wake Up America show, you're supporting your own financial future. Stephanie and I are big believers in investing in gold and silver. If you haven't been noticing what's happening to the price of silver, check it out today. Definitely hit it up over at hit up Preserve Gold today by texting the word Liberty to 50505. If you can't remember that, or if you're using your mobile phone to watch it and you don't want to click away, just so you know, the link to the Preserve Gold sign-up form is below in the Rumble description, so you can check that out as well. All right, so yes, it's time for us to go, guys. I noticed we got a little bit of a troll there. We appreciate everybody who are being so patient in the chat. And yes, I am multitasking and banning the hell out of the trolls this morning. Am I good or what? Blue Trike asks, is that troll guy pumping up the numbers? No, it's because Rumble decided to feature us on the front page today. Thank you, Rumble. We're streaming live through Rumble Studio today. And we appreciate them very much for helping us to do that. The Wake Up America show is, of course, brought to you in part by our APforLibertyShop.com, too. So make sure you check out the Liberty Shop. While we go to a commercial break, we're going to hear from Judge Napolitano. What happens if Donald Trump goes to jail? Will he still be able to run for president of the United States? And we're going to hear from Judge Napolitano what he thought about what happened at the Libertarian National Convention. The candidate that he endorsed lost. What does he think of Chase Oliver? Talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Be right back.
The Cantina crew, this is Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter. And I just want to say thank you for watching the Wake Up America show. I've decided that Austin Peterson will be the new CEO of Twitter.com, effective immediately. First thing to do, though, is I've got to go and blast off into space.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911?
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson, and you're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. We're glad and thankful to have you here. We had a great conversation with Tony Martinez about how the Libertarian Party's convention went last weekend, and Tony filled us in on a little bit of the details that are going on in South America and why so many South American libertarians are telling American libertarians, well, you better vote for Donald Trump, because that's going to be what's in our best interest if we want to have a libertarian coalition internationally. But my next guest, Judge Napolitano, is going to talk to us his thoughts about the Libertarian Party convention. But before we get into all of the internecine squabbling and party politics and all that, let's talk about the bigger picture here first. Donald Trump apparently has had to have Secret Service protection talking about what it would mean if Donald Trump goes to jail. It's quite unprecedented. And this is a conversation I've had with Judge Napolitano definitely before, but it's looking maybe a little bit more likely. Let's talk to the judge. Here he comes. All rise. Judge Andrew Napolitano, the host of the Judging Freedom podcast, joining us live right now. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Austin. Pleasure to be with you, my friend.
Thanks for coming, Judge. I mean, I know that we're in uncharted waters here, but what would it be? Donald Trump in a jail cell, and is there a Secret Service agent who has to go to jail with him? Do they stand outside the cell? I mean, how does that work?
You know, no one really knows how it will work, Austin. President Biden could suspend Secret Service protection for a predecessor who was incarcerated. I think the chances of incarceration are very slim, even if he's convicted on all 34 of these counts, because A, it's not a crime of violence. B, he's a first-time offender. So the indication, even though there is the availability of jail, the indication is that he would not go to jail for those two reasons. However, I will tell you that the NYPD, the Manhattan Department of Corrections, the State Department of Corrections, and the Secret Service have had conversations about the unthinkable, which would be a former president entitled to Secret Service protection incarcerated. Those conversations have been private. We don't know what plans they may have. It would, to me, would be inconceivable that somebody else would have to be in jail with him. I would think that the worst case scenario would be he would be protected from other prisoners, but not by Secret Service, by people that work in the jail.
Unbelievable, Judge. There's still a possibility of a hung jury or situation, right, where he could get off on a technicality?
Well, I mean, a hung jury means that they don't have unanimous agreement on guilt or not guilt. He is still free. He is not convicted, and it's up to the government whether they want to try him again. I can't imagine such a trial would take place before Election Day. And honestly, if he's not elected to the White House, his greatest fear should be the Mar-a-Lago case. The evidence of his guilt is overwhelming. That's a charge of espionage, and no one in the modern era, by which I mean post-World War II, has been convicted of espionage and has not gone to jail. That does not require jail in that system. The federal system for that crime does not require a prior conviction and does not require a crime of violence. Those two would be irrelevant. But that's a big if he is not elected. If he is elected, this is also fascinating. I mean, he can say to his attorney general, go into court and get those cases against me dismissed. And the AG can go before a judge who'll say, we move to dismiss it. And the judge can say, why? Because of an election? The motion's denied. And then the AG will say, well, we're not going to prosecute it. And the federal judge will say, fine, I will appoint a team of prosecutors, ex-federal prosecutors, and you'll pay their bill. I mean, this is virgin territory as to where it goes. You know, then the president could say, well, I'm going to pardon myself. Can he pardon himself? You know, this has never been addressed. The pardoning power has been described as final and absolute, meaning there's no check on it. However, there is a principle of Anglo-American jurisprudence that a person cannot be a judge in their own case. So
it's kind of
there's
scary,
no way
Judge.
of knowing how any of this could end up. There's no way of knowing with even a probability, never mind certainty, even a probability of how any of this will end up, Austin.
You know, things like this, they don't quite have the gravitas of the slavery question like it did in the run-up to the Civil War, but it does seem to be of a similar back and forth between these two factions. And when considering what the Democrats are doing is unprecedented, I mean, do you find any irony, Judge, in that the Democrats are talking about saving democracy while trying to jail their political opponent? I mean, leave out the Mar-a-Lago charges, which you might think are legitimate, but in this case of hush money being paid in New York, I mean, this is quite clearly, Judge, a political prosecution, is it not?
I agree. I think January 6th is a political prosecution. I don't think Georgia is, although they're all the prosecutor is a elected official and a Democrat, and I don't believe that Mar-a-Lago is, but January 6th and this one clearly are. By that I mean, if his name were Donald Jones instead of Donald Trump, he wouldn't be a defendant in this case.
Judge, what was your take on what Donald Trump offered to the Libertarians at the Libertarian National Convention when he said that if we vote for him, that he would place one of us, maybe you, in the cabinet, maybe you would become the Attorney General of the United States? Because I'll tell you what, Judge, on the promise that Judge Andrew Napolitano becomes Attorney General of the United States, Austin Peterson puts on the MAGA hat and runs to the polls to vote for him.
You're so kind. He didn't call me, so I don't know if he had me in mind. I thought it was bizarre that they invited him. I guess they invited him just because they wanted the publicity. Equally bizarre that they invited Bobby Kennedy. Again, I guess they wanted the publicity. Equally bizarre that they invited Joe Biden, who apparently didn't even reply. I don't know what to make of the Libertarian Convention. A person they nominated seems so bizarre as not to be an attractive candidate at all. But I don't know the guy. I wasn't there. I'm not familiar with the politics that went on there. Professor Rechtenwald is a serious True North libertarian. I don't think he has the energy or personality or finances to campaign for president, but he certainly has the mentality of a Murray Rothbard. This young fellow that they nominated, I just don't know enough about him except the baggage that the press mentions.
Well, I interviewed him myself, Judge, and I'll tell you, when it comes to the anti-war question, which we hear, of course, from many Mises-type libertarians, is the most important question. Being anti-war is the most important thing, apparently to the detriment of any of our other issues, at least from what I've heard from the Mises-type people over the last 5 or 6 months, which is why they advanced this Rechtenwald character, despite him being a very flawed candidate who, in his moment of political prime, decided to take some drugs while being interviewed on live television, quite embarrassingly so. But this Chase Oliver character, he fits all of the same wants and needs from Mises-type libertarians. He's called the war in Gaza a genocide. He believes in all of the same principled positions that Mises libertarians advocate when it comes to war. The only major difference is, Judge, between Mises libertarians is the social conservative question, is the idea that Chase Oliver himself is a gay man who thinks that it should be perfectly legal for children to be allowed to go to drag queen story hours, and that children, under the age of 18 should be allowed to take hormones and puberty blockers while not fully committing to the positions of genital mutilation. You might as well be there with him, because not you, but anyone who would support him, because that's what he has advocated for, because hormone blockers can be just as permanent as a full-blown transition, Judge. But I mean, when it comes to the questions of war and peace, Chase Oliver is that down-the-line libertarian. But still yet, many of the people who were supporting Michael Rechtenwald, many of the Mises libertarians, they recoil. The people who told us that war was the most important issue, who have been screaming since October 7th about Israel's genocide in Gaza, having Chase Oliver that exact rhetoric, that exact candidate. The only difference is that he's gay and he wants to trans the kids. So, I mean, I guess I don't know what's the beef.
Yeah. Well, I agree with him as you describe this. I don't want to trans the kids, but a person who's reached the age of reason owns their own body. If you're, under 16, theoretically, you would need the consent of your parents. But at some point, you don't need that consent, and at some point, the bodily ownership ripens into your own.
I feel like
Rechtenwald took drugs during an interview.
You're not aware of this. So after Trump appeared on the stage, the presidential candidates were invited to respond to Donald Trump's speech. Michael Rechtenwald spoke to the Washington Post and explained what happened because he got up on stage and started blabbering. And I'm not talking about like just running at the mouth. I'm talking about blah, 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 like Joe Biden-esque rambling. He had to leave the stage when he was questioned by Washington Post reporters after. He said that this isn't some major political scandal. Somebody gave me something and I ate it, and that's what happened. And that's why I flubbed in front of the press. It's quite an embarrassing moment, Judge. And you see things like that, and it's no wonder that, the Libertarian Party and the movement can't get any respect. It's very juvenile and childish to behave that way. It's certainly not how I behaved when I ran for president of the United States, clean and sober and sharp, because for God's sakes, Judge, we're trying to represent these principles. You and I have devoted our lives to these principles, Judge. We have put our lives, our fortune, our sacred honor on the line here, and there's
something screwy about that organization. I don't know what it is, unless they have Ron Paul or somebody like that. They don't seem to be stable, mature adults about the whole thing. They asked me to get involved a long time ago. I'm glad I didn't. They don't have the funds or the seriousness of a purpose, even though their ideology is consistent with yours and mine. Their level of maturity apparently is not.
Judge, Trump has the possibility of putting you in the space of attorney general. Trump has the possibility of putting you in front of a Senate confirmation hearing for a Supreme Court. Do you think that I give one goddamn about a party that's going to do 1.5% this year if I have the opportunity to take someone like yourself and put them in a position of power to actually free the people of the United States? This doesn't even seem like a question to me.
Well, the question is, would Trump do that? There's many a slip between the cup and the lip with him in terms of promises that he's made and have not been kept. He promised to pardon Assange. He didn't even realize his own DOJ had indicted Assange after the Obama DOJ said he's got a First Amendment defense. We're not going to indict him. He promised to pardon Snowden. He didn't do it. He promised to reveal the JFK assassination files. He didn't do it. I'm giving you small things that he can do on his own that don't require Senate confirmation or legislation from the Congress. He has a short attention span and often listens to the person he's been speaking to last, which is what happened when I talked him into vetoing the FISA extension. I've told you this story. Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, Mike Pence went running to the Oval Office, and an hour later changed his mind. And he sent a message to me saying they twisted my arm.
What if you were the person that spoke to him last, though, Judge? He has said that he would have...
Well, if I had been the person he spoke to last, then he would have done those things. If he had signed the veto while he was on the phone with me, if he had signed the pardons while he was on the phone with me, it would have been a great thing for human freedom. And I get your point. I wouldn't be having this conversation with Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton, that's for sure.
So, the opportunity that presents itself is a man who has made a promise, who may or may not keep it, but who would have the power to keep it, versus 1% and trans the kids. I mean,
Yes.
Judge, it's not even a question, Judge. It's not even a
Yeah.
question. If Vivek Ramaswamy or you or Ron Paul becomes head of the Federal Reserve or the Treasury or the IRS, I mean, enthusiastically, Judge, I go to the polls. Enthusiastically, I vote for this man, knowing that there are things about him that he and I completely disagree on: tariffs, trade, multiple other things, his heresies. But to have the opportunity to have a seat at the door, to have you be the last person speaking to him before he does legislation, Judge, I mean, you must understand how I feel.
Yeah, of course I understand how you feel. It's deeply flattering that you're using me as the example. But well, tell him to call me, Mom. I'll keep the phone line open.
You're the first person I thought of. You're the first person I thought of. Here, well, I'll tell you what. I will be the White House press undersecretary. I'll be the backup team, so I can get all ready and for the day. I finally become White House press secretary, while you are either his chief of staff or his attorney general, and you'll handle all the things. You know what? Another thing that he promised that he would put people like you and I, libertarians, in front of the pardons board of a commission of people for consideration of pardons. He would put libertarians like you and I on a board in that position to be able to make the decisions on things like freeing Ross Ulbricht or Julian Assange or Edward Snowden. Again, even if that is the only thing that we get out of all of the other promises that would happen, Judge, the amount of good that people like yourself and myself could accomplish in that kind of scenario, it's world changing, Judge. We're talking about changing people's lives for the better, for our principles and ideals, and it's at our doorstep, right? Yes, like you said, from the cup to the lips, right, might be a stretch, but it has been said, it has been spoken, it exists. At minimum, we can hold him to it. He's run out of all the other options of people to work for him because he's blown through all of the lawyers in Washington, D.C. There aren't many people left who could actually fill these things. And here's the thing, Judge, you are one of the very few people who might actually be able to have the credibility to get through a Senate confirmation hearing. It's not like we have a deep bench of people out there who share our principles and ideas, who have any institutional knowledge whatsoever, right?
Short answer is yes. The longer answer is if you know him, as I do, you wouldn't put as much credence in these promises, excuse me, as you are. That's just the way he is. His attention span is short. His narcissism is overwhelming and deeply infects what he's doing, and he makes decisions based upon how he feels at the moment. But I get your point. I get your point. It is worth whatever baggage he brings in order to have somebody close to the seat of power who'll be whispering in his ear, the Constitution says you can't do this.
I just feel as if like this is the lifeline that you and I were on the Titanic. The Libertarian Party is rearranging deck chairs, and the SS Trump is floating by and sending out the lifeboats. And the question is, will we get on the lifeboats, or will we continue rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic?
Well, of course you'd get on the lifeboats. You paint a stark comparison there, which really isn't much of a choice at all. Why don't they have serious candidates like Ron Paul? Why don't they have serious financing like they did when he ran? Because they're run by immature young people who just want to make the splash that they made over last weekend. I mean, is this fellow Chase Oliver going to have a funded campaign? Is he going to be able to compete? No one will hear of him after this week.
No, it's over, Judge. I said this a little bit earlier. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for Javier Milei. And I'm going to say this again with no tongue-in-cheek whatsoever. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for Judge Andrew Napolitano for Attorney General of the United States. That's the way I look at it. It's a vote for Ron Paul to be the head of the Federal Reserve. It's a vote for Rand Paul to be chief of staff or what have you, right? It's a vote for Senator Mike Lee to be the Secretary of State It takes the Tea Party fight that we were fighting in 2010 together, locked arm in arm, and turns our cards from I don't know if you've ever played poker, but there's a way of playing poker where they have this thing called a river, and you can be losing the game, losing and losing until the final cards are played, when all of a sudden your fortunes can be reversed. And I'm ready to gamble on that, Judge, because the alternative is lost. We can fold, we can not vote, we can vote for the Libertarian Party candidate, in which case we can take the guaranteed loss or the potential win. But I mean, I guess I just, maybe I just don't have enough shame. Should I be ashamed of myself?
You're a young person with a lot of optimism. And you probably haven't met him or spent any time with him. It's a little sobering, to say the least.
Yeah, only once, actually, in the green room at Fox News, when I was there. He was there for another interview, and I believe that you told me to go out and beg him to come on the show that day. But he was too busy or something like that. It was one of those rare times, and he was actually in the building, because he would always do like the satellite truck phone stuff when he was on Fox and Friends in the mornings. But
right.
Judge, I love you, but I think that the Libertarian Party is a lost cause this year, and I know I'm young and I'm optimistic. I'm going to have a baby here in a month and a half, so I'm definitely thinking about the future of this country and what I can do to advance liberty. And at this point in time, if I can take the ball down the field and hit a first down, or if I can even kick a field goal for liberty at this point, Judge, I'm going to take that shot. I hope you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all. So what would I do when he comes to me and says, send 1,000 FBI agents to Columbia University and arrest the protesters because I don't like what they're saying?
Well, just be the last person in his ear before that task force actually goes down. I mean, just be the last person in his ear. Be the person in his ear. Be the Trump whisperer, Judge, or have Rand Paul be the Trump whisperer, so that we can avoid those kinds of things. Judge, I love you. Please don't be ashamed of me for what I'm about to do.
I'm not ashamed of you. I love you too. And I know we don't have time to discuss it, but this is right up the alley of my column this week called American Caesar.
Well, let's talk about that, Judge. Give us a preview of your column and your incredibly successful show, Judging Freedom.
So I read this piece in The Economist over the weekend, which asked, is America dictator-proof? And it got me thinking to all the statutes that give all the power to presidents and all the congressional indifference looking the other way. And I cataloged the most outrageous historical examples of it in the column, and concluded that America is not dictator-proof, because the people in whose hands we repose the Constitution for safekeeping do not take their oaths seriously. And we can end up with an American Caesar. This is not aimed at Trump at all. There are a catalog of presidential excesses, crimes, and constitutional violations that are articulated in the piece. I actually had some fun writing it. Periodically, as you know, I like to write a think piece like that, like I did last week on the tyranny of the majority, which doesn't specifically directly address an issue on the public mind. Yesterday, Colonel McGregor was on with us. 250,000 views in 24 hours. Today, I have Phil Giraldi, the 40-year CIA expert whom George Bush kicked out of the Oval Office when he told Bush that Saddam Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction. And I have Aaron Maté, who you should get to know, Canadian-American journalist whose investigative reporting on the government of Prime Minister Netanyahu and its bizarre relationship to the American Congress and the American presidency. He continues to make revelations which are startling. So that's what I'm doing today.
Judge Andrew Napolitano's show, Judging Freedom, can be downloaded on any of your favorite mobile device applications. So make sure that you head on over to that as soon as he's off the show, and follow Judging Freedom. And of course, read his weekly column, which comes out every Thursday at judgenap.com. We're libertarians, so we can't say it's required reading, but we heavily suggest visiting that every day. Thank you, Judge. We appreciate you very much. You have a wonderful week. And as always, it's so much fun, and it's so great to talk to you.
God bless you, Austin. Thank you. Thank you for all your flattering comments. All the best.
Thank you, Judge. All right, let's give him a round of applause. What say you? Can I ask you something? Do you think you're going to hear conversations like that anywhere else? The Wake Up America show is unique in the world. Nowhere else are you going to hear those kinds of probing questions. I mean, to some extent, I was kind of putting Judge Napolitano's back to the wall there, and he didn't even know about all those things that had gone on at the Libertarian Convention. I mean, I painted it in pretty stark terms. Maybe it was a little bit black and white, maybe a little bit hyperbolic, would you say? But I don't think so. I actually think that the choices that I presented to Judge Napolitano aren't that far off from reality. What do you think? Ask yourself this. Are you a regular watcher or listener of the Wake Up America show? Are you saying to yourself, God, I really hope that AP for Liberty succeeds? Well, you can be a part of making us succeed. Now, I know that for those of us who are watching the Wake Up America show for the first time this morning, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of you who are watching us for the very first time today, good morning. Welcome, by the way. I saw Tim Pool actually had reshared us over on x.com. So I'm very grateful. Tim Pool has been giving us some big shout outs over on x.com. This is now the biggest Wake Up America show live viewers in all of our history. So good morning to the 6,335 people who are watching us live over on the Wake Up America show. I just took a screenshot to verify it. Yes, 6,335 people watching us over at x.com. Good morning. Just FYI. And of course, we have 1,217 people at rumble.com, which means 7,000 people watching the Wake Up America show live. I'm grateful to have you here. If you've never heard of the Wake Up America show or me, just an FYI, I'm Austin Peterson, and the Wake Up America show streams live Mondays through Fridays from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time, and we'd be glad to have you be a regular guest. You can watch us here either over on X, where the 6,000 people are. Rumble.com is a great place to hang out because we've got a really nice chat over there and a lot of cool friends of freedom. So if you want to engage in chat, please do join us at rumble.com/AP for Liberty, where people are hanging out, making friends. My smoking hot redheaded libertarian wifey is over there. My cute little Steffi P for Liberty is joining us in the chat this morning. Hi, sweetheart. We're winning. We're succeeding. 7,000 people watching the Wake Up America show, the biggest Wake Up America show since we debuted a little bit less than 2 years ago. So thank you for all the success. And for those who have been regular watchers and listeners, I want to ask you today to become a monthly supporter of the show. You get a 20% discount at apforlibertyshop.com, our merch store. Thank you to Andy Opperman. Says, congrats on the biggest show ever. Have a drink on me. Thank you, Andy, for the Rumble Rant donation. If you're not a monthly supporter yet, it's easy. You can either do it at rumble.com or wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. If you go to the website, there's a support button, wakeupAmericaShow.com. You'll see the support button there. Just open that up, become a $5 a month sponsor, and you will get a 20% discount at apforlibertyshop.com. Help us to grow the revolution, build more content like what you're watching right now. We have big plans for documentaries and for feature-length films. Right now, we're just a podcast. Me, my smoking hot wife, about to have a baby in a month and a half. She has her new show, Hustling and Homemaking, and certainly we are hustling, trying to get those videos, content out for you. So even if you don't want to become a monthly sponsor yet, I understand. At least click the follow button and follow the feed. And if you're on x.com and you're not following me, AP for Liberty, please do so. I'd be grateful to have you. All right. Well, next up, John Miltimore. He is a writer at the Foundation for the Economic Education. He's for kids who can't read good and want to learn to do other stuff good too. John Miltimore for the Foundation for Economic Education joins us next. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more on these topics. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for Judge Napolitano, and maybe even John Miltimore, my next guest. It's going to be spicy, spicy, spicy. Don't miss it. Be right back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to wake up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today. Thanks for sticking around. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. See, that commercial break wasn't too long, and it allowed me to go backstage and get my next guest. We usually have him on Mondays. We call it Mondays with Miltimore. He's from the Foundation for Economic Education. It's Tuesdays with John Miltimore joining us live this morning. Good morning, John. Nice to see you, sir.
Hey, good morning, AP. Good to be with you, man.
Hey, these Fauci emails that you brought up and the NIH, the blatant display of corruption from Anthony Fauci and the twisted web of lies that he weaved during the pandemic. Breaking news here, John. What's the story?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the most overlooked story in the country right now. There's, it's getting a lot of attention on Twitter, but mainstream media is not talking about it. And what we have are emails from NIH. Most of them were written by Fauci's, top, advisor, David Morenz, where they're discussing how to avoid FOIA requests, and they're discussing deleting emails so they don't get, picked up in FOIA requests. This is a federal crime. Morenz testified last week before Congress, and what struck me is that both Democrats and Republicans were very outraged over this. And he tried to tiptoe it around and come up with reasons that he wasn't actually trying to. He admitted he was trying to avoid FOIA requests, but was doing it for benevolent reasons. Lawmakers were not buying it. I think we got kind of smoking gun emails that show that there's a conspiracy at NIH to, allow them to discuss and deliberate and, without oversight about the grant that EcoHealth Alliance received that was, for the coronavirus research that was being funded at Wuhan. And Fauci's going to be testifying, coming up here, I guess it's next week, June 3rd. A lot of people I think are skeptical that, these people will ever be held accountable. I don't think you can avoid accountability when you have, written documents of this nature that have them discussing what appears to be federal crimes.
Well, how do we hold them accountable then, John? Vote for Donald Trump?
No, yeah, that's a question that keeps coming up. I was watching the Libertarian convention stuff like everyone else was. Here's the thing. My answer to this, I really can't tell other people how to vote because I can't decide how I'm going to vote myself. Okay, so I feel like a fool saying, "Oh, you need to go vote for X." I don't know who I am going to vote for right now. And like I didn't know Chase Oliver at all until I remember the Senate race vaguely. I remember him as a spoiler candidate more than anything. I don't know a lot about his particular positions. I looked at his positions. I looked at his platform. If you looking over his platform, I like what I see. Like I looking at what I looked at yesterday. I'd say I'd vote for this guy over Donald Trump. I'd vote for him over Joe Biden. I say that recognizing, even the best libertarian candidate in the world is not going to win. And there are other issues. I look at Oliver. Put the platform aside. There's things I don't like. I saw the interview you did with him. I don't know if that was a year ago. I don't know if that's 6 months ago. To me, there's kind of a red line. I don't defend drag queen story hour. It's just something I can't do. Okay. And you can, come up with reasons to say, well, it's not as bad as people say. You can say all that. To me, that's kind of a bright line. I don't go there. I don't want people, how you run your own life is your business, but I don't even want to stick up for this where we have kids going to drag parties. And I thought your question was great. Why is this important to people?
Why do the drag
necessary?
queens want to read the stories to the children?
That's a good answer, and that's a good question, and I did not hear a good answer to that.
Yeah, he also has come out on I Side With and said, this is Chase Oliver, the Libertarian presidential candidate we're discussing, by the way, for those who don't know. He also came out and said that while he doesn't support active surgeries for minors, he does believe they should be allowed to take hormone transitions, testosterone or estrogen or what have you, to begin transitioning before they become an adult. Again, another bright red line for me. What about you?
Yeah, this stuff is very disturbing to me. Like as a country, for a long time, we've said, you know what? Okay, you want to go get a tattoo? You can get a tattoo, but for kids, that's off limit. And what we're talking about is far more invasive than a tattoo, right? We're talking about life-changing hormones and surgeries. And I don't think it's too much to say, you know what, kids, we're not gonna get kids in the middle of our culture war. And that's kind of where they are. And to me, it's very heartbreaking. These are policies I don't want people to defend. But I also recognize that the culture war stuff, like I said, I went and looked at Chase's platform. I like all position after position after position. He checks the box there. Okay. But I'm going to be honest, if the election was tomorrow, I'd still be voting for Bobby Kennedy Jr. over any of these other guys.
Wait, whoa, hold on now. Whoa. Pause. Okay, so we're going to come back to that. We're going to put a push pin in that, John, because he's got a lot of issues as well.
I know.
Did you hear what Donald Trump said to the libertarians about what he offered to them? You know, that isn't convincing to you, John?
Is this about releasing Ross?
Not just releasing Ross. He said he would take libertarians, people like you and I, and put them in front of put us on a board to consider pardons for more than just Ross Ulbricht. So libertarians would be on the boards to determine who would actually be pardoned. That's another promise that he made. He also promised a libertarian in his cabinet position. Of course, that's assuming we can find one who can actually make it through the Senate confirmation hearings, right? And multiple other things as well. So it's not just freeing Ross. That's only one part of it. That's part of many, many promises that he made, which, if he fulfills even half of them or a couple of them, John, this would be a massive win for us. And you're going to vote for RFK?
Yeah, no, I would. And here's the thing. Trump is very good at the horse trading. Like he's good at dangling promises out there. And to me, this is encouraging. The fact that he's courting libertarians this way. Do you remember any of this happening in 2016? No. This tells me that libertarians are on. We're ascending. In liberty is ascending, and we're on the march. But no, I'm not going to be persuaded by Trump dangling promises in front of me. That's just I'm just not going.
Well, what is RFK going to do for us?
I hear the guy that's talking about ending the Fed. Like, is there another candidate talking about that? I mean,
that's not pandering. He'll definitely do that. RFK with his not going to win a single state. He'll definitely end the Fed. But Donald Trump, he won't free Ross Ulbricht. John, are you hearing yourself?
I'm not saying that Kennedy could get it done. I'm saying he's talking about the right issues. And to me, this is somebody that clearly understands, monetary policy better than anybody else I've heard.
John.
Listen to the guy. Here's the thing.
Listen
and I
to yourself.
wouldn't believe myself saying this like a year ago because I thought
Whoa. I'll let you go in just a second. You got to stop, John, and reconsider your priors here.
All right. Okay.
And a green environmental lawyer who said not 10 years ago that people like you and I should be locked up because of we're evil capitalists for resisting his climate change agenda, suddenly has become a monetary policy scholar and knows how the financial system works. Oh, and he's going to end the Fed, despite the fact he's not even going to win a single damn thing. Whereas Donald Trump actually could do things, actually could win, and actually might put somebody like Ron Paul as the head of the Federal Reserve. Are you out of your mind, John Miltimore?
AP, you know better than anyone that, like, when you're running for president, you have your positions. Just because if people would have said, AP, you're not going to win, you're not going to do anything, why are you even running? That's not a real argument. You put out your positions and you make your case. And I'll say this: Kennedy keeps he's in the polls. He is somebody pulling a massive amount of the vote. Now, is it enough to win today? No, but we have two candidates that are look at polling. Nobody wants Biden versus Trump. You have more than half the country that wants both those candidates off the ticket. So I think this is a wild card race. I hear you on all the past things that Kennedy has said and done. You know what I found out just recently too? He's an election denier. If you go back, he was quoting Keith Olbermann in articles in 2006 saying that the election was stolen. So here's I get that he's got a conspiracy, bug in him, but let's not forget his uncle was shot and killed. The president, his father was shot and killed. All these were very, shady circumstances. I'm not surprised the guy's a bit of a conspiracy theorist. And the truth of the matter is, we don't have a lot of good choices. And I hesitate to tell people. I'm not going to tell people how to vote. I'm just saying how I would.
Who do you think shot JFK?
I think there was a conspiracy to kill the president. I think if you look, we have the CIA documents today that they refuse to release. Okay, like we're talking 60 years after the assassination. Why is the CIA? I'm not saying that the CIA did it. I'm saying the CIA knows more than they're letting on. And if you refuse to release thousands of documents 60 years after an event, you're hiding something serious. And you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to believe that.
Well, yeah, of course
I think
you do.
our government
Of course you do. Yeah, that's absolutely that, because you're talking about that's a definitional conspiracy right there. So of course you have to be a conspiracy theorist to believe it, but it's a conspiracy theory because you don't have the documents. You're just assuming that the documents are going to confirm what you have already decided and you've already believed based on, disparate facts that you've pieced together as evidence and said, this is what I believe, but you're basing it on absence of evidence.
No, and again, conspiracy, like I said, I'm not even saying the CIA was the impetus for the assassination. I'm saying maybe the CIA had information that something was going to happen. Maybe I think the CIA, they're obvious, they are hiding something. We know this. And maybe you can, tell me, like, why would they be hiding, 60 years after the assassination of a president? Why do they year after year refuse to release these documents?
Because the people I'll tell you exactly why. Because the people who failed to protect him are still alive today. That's why they hold these documents back, is because the Secret Service and the FBI, who had known that that Oswald had traveled to Russia and that he had actually tried to assassinate an American military general in Texas not a month before he actually assassinated John Kennedy. But the reason why they hold these documents back is because it makes people who still exist, who are still alive, look bad, because they may have been on the job today. They may have missed the opportunity to protect him, or, they should have had that glass bubble over his head and they screwed up, because the conspiracy is almost always, if you take Occam's razor, the most likely explanation is always true. When you hear hoofbeats, John, what do you think? Do you think horses or do you think zebras?
I tend to think horses.
You tend to think horses, right? That's Occam's razor, right? So the people who flubbed the ball that day are still alive and don't want to have to endure the public shame for the fact that I believe in the incompetence theory of government. in other words, not that they're competent, right? To believe in the shadow conspiracy is to suggest that all these people who would have had to be in on it all got paid, which would probably take the economy of at least one or two South American nations to pay them all off, and none of them spilled the beans, and none of them leaked, and none of them came forward with the evidence.
Like if you look, E. Howard Hunt on his deathbed said, "We did this." Okay, and for years I said the same thing. I'm like, somebody would have said something by now.
You could still, but here's the thing: you could say we did this, and it's your fault because you didn't protect him. That doesn't mean that we shot him. It's kind of like Larry Silverstein in 9/11 when they all said, when it came to WTC 7, and they had that clip, they said, oh, they realized that the rescue operation wasn't there, and we decided to pull it. And all the conspiracy people were like, well, that means that they wanted to pull the demolition, right? That's when they had the planned demolition ready to go, was going to pull it. No, he was saying pull the rescue operation. He was saying pull the firemen out of the building, pull the rescue operation out of the building because the building is structurally unsound. It's going to collapse. But that's not fun. That's not exciting. That's a boring explanation for things. We would rather cook things up in our heads because we're all bored and fat, lazy Americans eating cheeseburgers, and we got nothing better to do than to make up things about JFK. And the world would be much more exciting if a shadowy conspiracy.
On this point, though.
No, John.
E. Howard Hunt didn't say we failed to protect Kennedy.
He said we did it.
He said we were the culprits, and this was a person, and he's not the go back to James Jesus Angleton, a very high-ranking CIA official who said something very similar.
So we believe the CIA. So we believe the CIA when they confirm our biases, but when they don't,
I confirm people that confess something before they die. Yeah. I think they're saying something before they die, before they're
blabbering. A blabbering old man in his dying breaths is not exactly the best example. It's like taking Joe Biden. It's like taking Joe Biden at his word, if he's lying on his deathbed. Well, he must be telling the truth because he's dying. No, he's probably pumped full of morphine and drugs, and his brain is sputtering and dying. Listen, I get it. It's not popular for me to defend the fact that Oswald was a raging communist who hated the United States and acted alone from the third floor book depository. But listen, do you know who Brandon Herrera of Texas is? The AK guy who's running down there in that special runoff election in Texas. You don't know who he is? Okay. Well, everybody is, including the conspiracy theorists, love him. And I love him too. He's great. But I don't know why the conspiracy theorists love him, because he has a whole video out debunking the concept that anybody but Oswald could have made those shots. Because the truth is that it's not that hard. Like, you can recreate those shots anywhere. I have the gun that Oswald used to shoot JFK, and I've recreated it myself. It's not that hard of a shot.
I've talked to a Navy SEAL. I've talked to a Marine Scout sniper, and both of them said those shots couldn't be made. They said they would not make those shots.
All right. Well, the video's out there. You can watch it. The physics have been done. The ballistic tests have been done. It's been done multiple times, approved over and over again. But again, I understand. The evidence is not going to change your mind on this, right?
But go back.
I understand. It's an ingrained thing. A conspiracy theory is more about superstition, right? It's more closely related to the occult than it is to actual facts or evidence. Based on hearsay. This guy said this on his deathbed. Well, this CIA agent or this Navy SEAL said this, and they can absolutely be trusted when they confirm my biases. But when they say what I don't want to hear, then they're an evil cabal, conspiracy, New World Order globalists who are conspiring against our rights, right?
Yeah, but I would say like go back to the Warren Commission. Even Judge Warren said the commission was a farce. Like even he was misled by so much of what happened there. I think there is a lot of evidence. It's something, let me just say, 10 years ago, I would have called myself a kook, because for years I called people who believe this sort of thing. I thought I didn't call them to their face, not cases, but I was a huge skeptic for years. And now I think there's much more there than Americans, than the official story.
Okay. I was on the opposite side of things. I actually was on the Alex Jones side of things. And then I did the homework and was like, because I knew a lot less about it back then, and I just believed the conspiracy theories. I watched the stupid Oliver Stone movie where he did the magic bullet theory, which has been, you don't believe the magic bullet theory, right? I mean, that's been debunked, right? You know what the magic bullet theory is?
Evidence that said that bullet did not come from that direction.
So you don't know the magic bullet theory?
Of course I do. Yeah, I've seen the Stone movie.
Okay, but you understand what the magic bullet theory was that it was supposed to have curved in air?
Mm-hmm.
Right, but the reason why
Seinfeld episode that
right,
hilarious
but the
job of.
reason, and listen, this will be the last thing I'll say about it because I'm going to spend on the JFK thing too long. But like, I'll just tell you this: that the reason why people thought that initially there was that magic bullet theory, and listen, the Warren Commission that did this made this mistake, and this is why conspiracy theories, have proliferated. Which is fascinating because there is a conspiracy surrounding the JFK assassination, but nobody wants to believe it because it's far more boring and involves a KGB general who defected, who claimed that the Soviets actually planted these conspiracy theories here in the United States to take advantage of gullible Americans. But I'll just say that the reason why people thought it was this bullet that moved in air is because they thought that, and Oliver Stone thought that JFK and Governor Connolly were sitting evenly in the car seat on the same level. But the truth is that JFK was actually elevated in the car because he had back problems and they had to sit him up straight. And that's why the bullet actually did go straight through him and hit Connolly and it went through a straight line. So the magic bullet theory should really be called the regular bullet theory. But let's move on and talk about this. I know people already think I'm like now a tool for George Soros and the globalist elite because I don't buy into every conspiracy theory, which is not to say that there haven't been some MK Ultra and Operation Mockingbird and all those kinds of things. I just don't believe every conspiracy theory under the sun.
Nor do I.
But is that the RFK thing? Is that really why? Is that why you've picked RFK over? I mean, Trump's got conspiracy theories. His are better than RFK's. Come on now. If you're going to pick a conspiracy theorist, how about Obama being born in Kenya? That's the candidate to vote for.
No, there is no shortage. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy. It is interesting though. I've talked to like Ivy League professors that believe this, but they'll never say it publicly. Because
you're talking to some of the dumbest people on the planet.
I'm just saying, these are things that we're not supposed to talk about.
Your sources are the government and Ivy League professors. John, no offense, I love you, but you're full of shit.
But the idea is that once you create this once you start to tar people as conspiracy theorists, you get people that are afraid to actually discuss this. We can go back to the Wuhan lab thing. This was the tactic they used during Wuhan. Anybody that talked about it, anybody that suggested this could have been a virus that escaped accidentally from
I'm not trying to silence anybody. I'm not trying to shut anybody down. You're throwing a straw man there. I believe I was called a conspiracy theorist. I called it on the Wuhan virology lab before anybody else. I was called a conspiracy theorist. I get it. I know. I'm just simply, and I'm not saying anybody should be silenced.
I'm pushing back on your Occam's razor though a little bit. Like you're saying, well, what's the most obvious?
That was the most simple explanation. The Wuhan viral lab was the most obvious explanation. I mean, even Jon Stewart came out and got in trouble for saying that to Stephen Colbert. He's like, look, you have, it was a pangolin kissed a turtle. No, it was like, look, there's a Wuhan viral coronavirus lab right over there.
People don't realize that's when we could talk about it. After Jon Stewart went on TV, went on Colbert and mocked that idea and said, whoa, where could this virus have come from? Maybe this lab in Wuhan that, produces coronavirus. That was the moment where people could, Facebook suddenly like, okay, we're not going to censor people anymore if they talk about this stuff. That was the moment. It took a comedian to go on national TV and laugh at how preposterous they were to just dismiss this.
John Miltimore from the Foundation for Economic Education. That was fun, John. Thanks for coming on here today. I didn't know we were going to go JFK route today, but we'll definitely continue this. I'm going to try and knock you off your RFK perch, though. It's time for us to make America great again, put a libertarian in the cabinet, have Vivek Ramaswamy be the vice president, have people like you sitting on the parole board for the pardons so that we can get, Ross Ulbricht out of jail and people like Julian Assange can go free. All right. So anything else you want to share before we let you go today, John? There's 8,000 people live, so you better, or 9,000 people live, so you better have something to say to them or plug.
Here's the thing. Trump had 4 years to pardon Assange, to pardon Ross, to pardon Snowden. He didn't do any of that. And now he's trying to make the case he's going to do all this. And again, I'm not, most of my family, they're going to be voting for Trump. I'm not judging anyone for voting for Trump. I'm just saying, for me, that ship has sailed. But yeah, anyway, check out all of our content at fee.org and go find me on Substack. I write Under the Take by John Miltimore on Substack, and I publish there, mostly every day.
Got it. John Miltimore, thanks for being a good sport, brother. I appreciate you.
Hey,
we'll look forward to having you on again next Monday, all right?
All right, sounds good.
Give it up for John Miltimore. Let's give him a round of applause. He's a good sport, guys. We're friends. I beat up on him a little bit. I just can't say thank you enough. I owe it to Tim Pool today and to rumble.com today, the Wake Up America show, the biggest audience live that the Wake Up America show has ever gotten is happening right now on the Wake Up America show. And I appreciate that you guys stuck around through that JFK discussion, because I know it probably didn't make you happy to hear me making those arguments, but trust me, I can back it up, and maybe we'll have this conversation off air at a later time. But there are 1,400 people watching us at rumble.com. There are 8,425 people watching us at rumble.com. So if my calculations are correct, that is 9,800 some odd people right now watching the Wake Up America show live. You know what, guys? To use Democrat math, we're just going to go ahead and round up, and we're going to call, what do you say? Well, let's just call it a nice, even 10,000 live people watching the Wake Up America show. I am humbled by the show of public support to have you here watching the Wake Up America show. And I know, again, for about 9,900 of you, it's probably your first time watching this show. So we are going to end the stream here in about 5 minutes. But I just want to say, first of all, thank you to you for tuning into the program. If it is your very first time here watching this show, we always have fun like this. We have the best guests, the best content. It's a great way to start your day. Stay informed. And we are 80% family friendly, I like to say on the show. So it's the kind of thing that you can turn on in the morning, grab a cup of coffee, and you can enjoy it without having to worry about the little pictures of big ears. I usually will let people know if there's going to be like a bad word dropped or something like that. There's way more things that I could talk about today than I can fit into this show. Before we go, though, for those who are out there who are not like my buddy John Miltimore and are actually going to be voting, that consider themselves to be libertarians who are voting for Donald Trump, I want to let you know that over at our merchandise shop, apforlibertyshop.com, you can get a Libertarians for Trump t-shirt designed by yours truly. The Libertarian for Trump t-shirt is part of our Libertarians for Trump collection, brand new in the shop. We've got a variety of colors. And not only do we have this design in a bunch of beautiful designs on t-shirts, but if you head over to apforlibertyshop.com and you type in Libertarians and Trump, we've also got hats. We've got flags. You can fly proudly. Our Trump 2024 Gadsden snake mug, even sneakers that I made, which I think are pretty sick. The Trump 2024 Libertarians for Trump, Libertarians for Trump sneakers. We've got athletic sneakers, and we've also got high tops as well. And it's got like the signature Trump hair on that. So you can get a cool Libertarians for Trump trucker hat. Just FYI, we do free shipping here in the United States. And I think that you guys will really appreciate it. While you're there, too, check out my lovely, smoking hot, pregnant, redheaded libertarian wife, Steffi's new video, Karate While Pregnant. Talking about exercising while she's pregnant. Yes, Hustling and Homemaking features her stories balancing pregnancy, motherhood, homemaking, and keeping a career on the side. Follow along with her adventures in hustling and homemaking. Head on over to apforlibertyshop.com. Get you something real nice. Are we gonna see you here tomorrow? Huh? I think so. I would hope that we are going to see you here tomorrow. If you haven't clicked like yet on the stream, click like, retweet it. If you're on Rumble, click like. And if you haven't already, follow the stream, and we'll see you here tomorrow, Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central. That's your new schedule now. You will subscribe to the show. You will join us again regularly. You will do this. What's the, how do we do that? How do we use the Force? Where's Obi-Wan Kenobi when I need him? You don't need to watch any other morning shows. I don't need to watch any other morning shows. If you're a fan of economic freedom and personal liberty, you're in the right place. Sadly, the show is over, but we will see you right back here tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. 10,000 live viewers. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to wake up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit petersonvoicestudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at ap4libertyshop.com.